After spending over 100 hours deep diving into Moltbot, I'm going to share everything you need to know about why this tool is generating so much excitement in the AI community, and what it can actually do for your productivity and business operations. Let's start with the fundamental difference between Moltbot and most AI tools you're familiar with. Most AI assistants simply provide suggestions and ask clarifying questions. Moltbot actually takes action and executes tasks on your behalf. This is a critical distinction that many people miss when they first encounter this technology. Here's a real-world scenario to illustrate the power. Imagine you just finished a meeting with Bob. You had AI notes taken during that meeting. Later, while you're commuting or running errands, you think of a brilliant idea. You can message Moltbot from your phone and tell it to locate the meeting notes from your conversation with Bob, identify the action items, supplement them with relevant research, generate a draft presentation deck, and send it back to Bob. The system will remember who Bob is from your previous interaction history and context. This is fundamentally what Moltbot enables. It's an AI agent with full control of your computer. It can access your browser, your folders, your files, and perform any action you could do manually on a computer. But instead of stopping at suggestions, it actually executes. If ChatGPT represents a brain, Moltbot is that brain equipped with hands and a keyboard. In this comprehensive tutorial, we're going to cover the complete setup and installation process for Moltbot. We'll walk through how to run it on a virtual private server if you choose that route, which I highly recommend for security reasons. You'll learn about the various model options and providers you can configure. We'll explore the web user interface, the terminal interface, and the desktop application to show you how each works in practice. Most importantly, I'll demonstrate how to leverage the platform with skills, cron jobs, and heartbeats to automate your workflow. We'll finish with critical security considerations to ensure your Moltbot instance is as secure as possible. Let's begin with the installation process. Navigate to Clawdbot and select your device. For Mac users, you'll copy a specific command. Windows users will click Change, select Windows, and copy the appropriate command. I'm using Mac, so I'll demonstrate that process. Open your terminal. You can use the default terminal application, but I recommend a tool called warp.dev. This is an AI agent-enabled terminal that will help guide you through any problems you encounter during installation. Simply copy and paste the installation command and press Enter. The system will require Homebrew, Node, and Git. If you encounter any issues, Warp will guide you through resolving them. Once the installation completes successfully, you'll see a confirmation message. Next, navigate to docs.clawdbot/startwizard. This wizard will help you get started with the initial configuration. Run the command Clawdbot on board in your terminal. The system will present a security notice. Acknowledge that you understand the implications. For most users, I recommend selecting the Quick Start option unless you're very familiar with server configuration. You'll then choose which provider to use. Common options include OpenAI and Google. If you select Google Gemini, you can choose the CLI authentication method. The system will redirect to your Google account where you'll grant the necessary permissions. Once authentication is complete, return to your terminal and select the model you want to use. For most basic business tasks, I recommend Flash Preview because it's efficient and won't consume excessive tokens. If you need the absolute best results and have tokens to spare, you can choose the Pro model. Next, select your preferred communication channel. I personally use WhatsApp because it allows me to control Moltbot from anywhere. For WhatsApp, you'll need to connect via QR code. Enter your telephone number for verification purposes. If you have existing skills configured, you can select NPM for installation. The system will install the necessary dependencies. You can optionally link password managers like 1Password, Apple Notes, reminders, and other services. Each integration has specific capabilities that the setup wizard will explain. You don't need to enable everything immediately. You can always add integrations later. The wizard will ask about API keys. You can skip this for now and input them later as needed. You'll need to install the gateway, which is essentially the server that allows you to connect and communicate with Clawdbot. You have three options for how to interact with your bot. The TUI or Terminal User Interface allows you to chat directly in the terminal. The Web UI opens an interface in your browser. I prefer the Web UI because it provides a more visual experience. When you select Web UI, it will open at 127.0.0.1, which means it's running locally on your machine. You can connect via Web Interface. For new installations, the chat window will be blank and ready for you to begin. That completes the basic installation. Now let's explore how to use Maltbot if you prefer working in the terminal. Simply run the command Clawdbot TUI. This launches the terminal user interface, where you can start chatting just like you would in the web interface. The advantage of the TUI is that it displays your token usage in real time. If you're token conscious, this is valuable for monitoring consumption. You can also see which model you're currently using. The TUI generally provides more command options than the dashboard interface. Press the / command to see available options including status, agent, sessions, and model selection. You can easily switch between models and access numerous configuration options. We'll cover what these options do in detail later. For Mac users, there's also a dedicated desktop application. Download and install it, then you'll be greeted with the initial setup including security notice, gateway wizard, and permission grants. I recommend granting notifications and microphone access. Once installed, you can access Maltbot from the top menu bar and chat with it anytime you need. Now that you understand the local installation options, let's discuss how to connect to messaging platforms like WhatsApp and Telegram to control your Maltbot remotely. This is where the platform really becomes powerful. For WhatsApp connection, navigate to Channels in your dashboard. You'll see the WhatsApp option with a QR code. Open WhatsApp on your phone, click Link Devices, then link a device. Point your camera at the QR code on screen. Once scanned, Claudebot will appear as a linked device, and you should receive a message from yourself confirming the connection. One issue I've encountered with WhatsApp is that if you turn off your server or computer and restart it, you may lose the WhatsApp connection and need to relink. Channels that use API authentication instead of QR pairing, such as Telegram, Discord, and Slack, allow you to reconnect without relinking even after server restarts. These are better options if you anticipate turning your server off periodically. For Telegram connection, open a chat with BotFather. Enter the command /newbot. Give your bot a name and username. You'll receive an access token. Copy this token and paste it into Clawdbot during setup, or, if you're configuring after initial installation, you can simply tell Clawdbot you want to change the channel. Now let's discuss why running Maltbot on a virtual private server is critical. I've shown you local installation, but we need to address security properly. Maltbot is extremely powerful, but with that power comes significant risk. Running it on your local computer is not recommended because if someone gains unauthorized access, the consequences could be catastrophic. The best practice is running Maltbot on a separate virtual private server with its own email accounts and passwords. This way, if a breach occurs, the damage is minimized and contained. Fortunately, there are free options available. You have traditional free tiers from Oracle, AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure. These offer free server instances, but you receive a blank machine that requires SSH access and terminal knowledge to configure. The second option includes platforms with one-click deployment templates. Zebra and Railway are excellent examples. Zebra provides $5 in credits every month, which typically covers your operational costs, making it essentially free. Let me quickly compare running Moltbot locally versus on a VPS. Local installation carries higher security risk, but has no monetary cost. The biggest problem is that if your computer shuts down, Moltbot stops working. This is particularly problematic if you're controlling it via Telegram or WhatsApp from your phone. With a VPS, the server runs continuously, allowing 24/7 access and the ability to run background tasks overnight. You gain more security and isolation. The downside is the monthly cost, though as mentioned, this can be minimal or free with certain providers. The mobile phone access issue is critical. With WhatsApp specifically, when you shut down and restart your local machine, the connection often drops and requires repairing. This is incredibly annoying and disrupts your workflow. Running Moltbot on a VPS eliminates this problem. There's actually a third option beyond local and VPS deployment. You can run Moltbot on a separate physical computer that isn't your primary laptop. A device like a Jetson Nano works perfectly for this purpose. It doesn't need powerful specifications. This creates separation between your daily use computer and your Moltbot instance for around $200 to $300. Many people discuss buying Mac Minis specifically for running Clawdbot, but this isn't necessary. Any server with minimal specifications can run your Clawdbot installation continuously. Let me show you the easiest deployment method using Zebra. Navigate to zebra.com. Click New Project. For free deployment, choose Shared Cluster. Select your preferred region, such as Tokyo or Silicon Valley. Choose the free trial cluster option and create the project. Click Deploy New Service, then choose Template. Select Claudebot from the available templates and click Deploy. Give your deployment a name and enter your OpenAI API key. The system will begin the deployment process automatically. Once it's running, access the interface. If you encounter an unauthorized gateway token missing error, simply copy the gateway token from the configuration and paste it into the connection field. Click Connect and you're in business. Navigate to Chat and test the functionality. If certain features like weather aren't working, you may need to install specific tools, but the core system should be operational. Setting up Clawdbot on a remote server is more challenging than local installation. Here are the key troubleshooting steps. First, check that your health status is okay in the dashboard. Most issues stem from the gateway token not being properly input. Ensure it's entered correctly and the connection is established. If you're subscribed to a monthly plan for your AI provider, you cannot use that subscription for remote deployment. You must use API keys because OAuth authentication is difficult on remote servers. This may change in future updates. The default interface can be frustrating. Navigate to the raw settings and modify your JSON configuration file to reference the correct model and agent. You can ask AI to help generate the proper configuration format and input your API keys. For debugging, return to the Zebra main page and access the command line. Run the Claude UI or TUI command. From this terminal interface, you can execute various commands to troubleshoot issues. Use the / command to access debugging options. I find Zebra the easiest platform to set up, and following these instructions, you'll run it essentially for free with the monthly credits. I'll provide a referral link in the description for additional credits. If you want to use your monthly subscription credits instead of API keys for Gemini and OpenAI, you'll need to run the onboarding wizard again. There's a plugin for OAuth login, but you need to execute this inside the command interface or run it on AWS with the full onboarding wizard for complete control. Now let's discuss browser control capabilities. Maltbot can control your browser to perform tasks on your behalf. To enable this, you need to install the Chrome extension. Copy the command Maltbot browser extension install. Open your terminal and paste the command. Follow the instructions to navigate to Chrome extensions, enable developer mode, click Load Unpacked, and select the extension folder. On Mac, you'll need to reveal hidden files by pressing Shift-Command-. Navigate to the Clawdbot folder, then Browser, then Chrome extension. Select this folder. The extension will appear in Chrome. Click the extension's icon in the top right and pin the Browser Relay extension so it's visible. When you want to use browser control, turn on the relay. A small indicator will appear showing that Clawdbot has control and access to your browser. Let me demonstrate with a practical example. First, turn on the relay. Then give a command, such as asking it to generate images in Gemini based on specific criteria. The system will take control of your browser, navigate to the appropriate site, and execute the task, generating the requested images automatically. One of the most useful capabilities is enabling web search. You can accomplish this using the Brave Search API. Navigate to brave.com/search/API and create a free account. Subscribe to the free tier, then go to API keys and generate a new key. Name it Maltbot and copy the key. Return to your terminal and use the command Clawdbot configure section web. Choose local or remote depending on your setup. Enable web search and paste your API key. Enable web fetch as well. Now web search is enabled and you can test it. Ask Moltbot to search the internet for current information, such as what's new with Moltbot. The system will use the web search tool, retrieve results, and provide key findings. You now have research capabilities integrated into your workflow. Now we arrive at one of my favorite features, which is skills. Why are skills important? If you have any prompt or task that you use repeatedly, you should convert it into a skill. The platform comes with numerous pre-built skills that you can enable or disable with a single click. But the real power is building custom skills tailored to your specific needs. Let me demonstrate. I have a skill that converts my video transcripts into YouTube descriptions. I simply paste in my transcript, and it uses my custom skill to build a properly formatted YouTube description. Let's build a new skill together. Ask Moltbot to build a skill that generates viral YouTube titles. Specify that you want 3 to 5 different title options based on a transcript you provide, with each title under 55 characters. Provide your transcript. The system will generate 5 title options for you to choose from. More importantly, it creates a reusable skill. You might wonder why you need a skill when you could just type the same prompt each time. The answer is skill chaining. When you have multiple skills, you can string them together. The next time you input a transcript, it can use the title generator skill to create titles, the description skill to create descriptions, and 3 or 4 additional skills in sequence. Instead of typing lengthy instructions every time, the skills remember your prompts and execute everything together automatically. For controlling Google Calendar and Gmail, there's an extremely useful skill called Google Workspace CLI that handles Gmail, Calendar, Drive, and Sheets. Install this skill, then navigate to console.cloud.google.com to set up proper authentication. Create a new project and give it a name. Navigate to APIs and Services. Enable all the Google services you want Claudebot to access. For calendar control, enable the Google Calendar API. For email, enable the Gmail API. Once enabled, go to Credentials and create a new OAuth client ID. Choose Desktop App, give it a name, and create. You'll receive client secrets that you can copy and use to authorize on your computer for accessing Google Calendar, Gmail, and other enabled services. Run the Google OAuth login command with your client ID, client secret, and scopes. This will open an authorization page. Grant Claudebot the necessary access. Once connected, you can test the functionality. Ask it to add a calendar event for a specific date and time with a description. the system will successfully create the event. Check your Google Calendar to verify it appears correctly with all the details you specified. This gives you full programmatic control of your calendar. This same capability extends to email filtering and automatic replies. Using the Google skill, you can have it read all your emails, filter them based on criteria you specify, and generate appropriate responses. For task management, I use a Kanban board system, and I'll show you how to use Clawdbot to manage all your tasks efficiently. You can brain dump multiple tasks at once, and Clawdbot will be smart enough to add them to your project management system. Tell Clawdbot you have a bunch of tasks you want added to Linear or your preferred project management tool. Provide a brain dump of various tasks, such as creating a customized Pokemon card, planning slides for a course, and setting up an automation system. The system will ask for clarification on priorities, timelines, and additional details. Provide this information conversationally. Once complete, check your Kanban board. All tasks have been added with the appropriate details, subtasks, and organization you specified. How does this work technically? Linear is an external service that communicates through an API. Clawdbot uses MCP, which is Model Context Protocol, allowing your AI to communicate with external services. Inside Clawdbot, there's a skill called MCP Porter. Initially, I thought you could simply install MCPs in Maltbot using this skill. In theory, MCP Porter should allow you to use all the skills available in Claude and have OpenAI recognize them. After spending 4 to 5 hours struggling with this approach, I realized the best method is actually through native Maltbot skills. You can find these on GitHub in the awesome Maltbot skills repository. This repo contains numerous skills for different services. Search for the service you need, such as Linear. Click on the skill to view the code. You'll see all the configuration details. To use it, you simply need to change the API token to your own. This is the easiest method I have found after extensive trial and error with MCP integration. The repository covers most common use cases you'll encounter. The installation process involves either using npx Claude Hub at latest to install the skill by name, or doing manual installation. For manual installation, navigate to your Cloud folder, locate the skills folder, create a new folder for your skill, and copy the skill.md file into that folder. Update the API key in the configuration. Alternatively, use warp.dev to have the AI agent copy the skill into the correct folder automatically. After installation, the skill may not work immediately. You need to run Maltbot Gateway Restart for the system to recognize the new skill file. Once you run this command and return to the interface, your skill should be operational. Let's discuss cron jobs, which are scheduled tasks that run in the background on a regular basis, whether daily, weekly, or at any interval you specify. Why would you use cron jobs? Here's a practical example. I analyze my YouTube channel data regularly to understand how to improve subscriber growth and view counts. Instead of manually checking the dashboard and reviewing metrics, I have AI analyze it automatically. I ask Moltbot to analyze my YouTube data. It runs a Python script that retrieves data from YouTube's API and provides highlights, but more importantly, actionable recommendations for improving my channel. It might identify that OpenCode videos are performing exceptionally well and recommend creating more content in that category. It might notice retention issues and suggest improving the first 15 seconds of videos. These are valuable recommendations I don't need to manually request every time. I've scheduled this as a cron job that runs every Sunday at noon. I receive a message on WhatsApp or Telegram with the analysis and recommendations automatically. If you have reports or recurring tasks you want executed weekly, monthly, or at any regular interval, cron jobs are the solution. I have multiple apps on the iOS App Store generating revenue, including a health data export app and a looks maxing app. I want to retrieve sales reports weekly from App Store Connect, analyze the data, and identify improvement opportunities. Let me demonstrate building this cron job. I tell Moltbot I have multiple iOS apps and want to build a cron job that retrieves data from App Store Connect, analyzes it, compares sales from the previous week to the current week, and suggests areas for improvement or notifies me of issues requiring attention. The system will need authentication credentials including private keys, key ID, and issue ID. After providing these credentials, I can test the cron job by asking it to run immediately. Once complete, it provides analysis showing that sales dropped, impressions dropped, but conversion rate increased. This is valuable information because I recently changed screenshots, so I can see the impact of that modification. It provides suggestions for further improvement. Navigate to the cron jobs section, and you'll see all scheduled jobs, such as YouTube analysis and App Store analytics. These will run automatically on your specified schedule. Now let me explain heartbeats and how they differ from cron jobs. The distinction is straightforward but important. Cron jobs operate on fixed schedules. Think of cron like an alarm clock that goes off at a specific time regardless of circumstances. Every day at 9 a.m., every Friday at 5 p.m. When the alarm triggers, Maltbot executes the tasks you've defined. Examples include generating weekly reports or backing up files nightly. Cron jobs run unconditionally on schedule. Heartbeats are periodic check-ins with conditional logic. A heartbeat is like having an assistant who checks in regularly and only notifies you when something actually requires attention. Instead of executing at 9 a.m. unconditionally, it's more like checking every 15 minutes and taking action only when specific conditions are met. For example, check my inbox every 15 minutes and only message me if there's something urgent. Monitor for website changes and alert me when detected. Review calendar and notify me only about events in the next 2 hours. Heartbeats provide smart, conditional automation. To configure Heartbeats, navigate to your Cloud folder and locate heartbeat.md. Open it in a text editor. Initially it will be blank. Add your conditions, such as check email for urgent messages, review calendar for events in the next 2 hours, and if idle, send a message when background tasks complete. Save the file. The system will check periodically based on your configuration. It might check your email and report nothing urgent. It might check your calendar and identify that you need to pick up your hard disk in 2 hours, which is genuinely useful contextual information. That's the power of Heartbeats. Intelligent checking with conditional notification based on what actually matters. Since we're discussing heartbeat.md, we should also cover soul.md, which is located in the same folder. This file defines the personality and behavioral boundaries of your Clawdbot in plain English. Every time Clawdbot initializes, it reads this file. Default parameters might include be genuine, be helpful, have opinions, be resourceful, and respect privacy. You can modify these characteristics based on your preferences during setup. I've customized mine because I work as an engineer and need a chief of staff. I've added instructions such as act as an AI chief of staff, speak like an engineer, always clarify ambiguous questions, and never delete files without explicit confirmation. These boundaries are crucial for safe operation. You can customize the personality however you want. If you prefer humor, you can tell your AI to modify the soul to be more funny or comedic. The soul.md file is worth exploring and customizing to match your working style. Now let's address security comprehensively. This is absolutely critical and cannot be overlooked. Clawdbot and Maltbot can read files, execute shell commands, control your browser, and send messages on your behalf. If someone gains unauthorized access to your gateway, they essentially have access to your entire computer and digital life. This isn't fear-mongering. Security researchers have discovered over 1,000 Maltbot gateways exposed on the internet. Some had no authentication whatsoever. In documented cases, API keys were leaked, chat histories were exposed, and Telegram tokens were stolen. These are real vulnerabilities with real consequences. I'm not a security expert, but there are quick fixes you can implement immediately to significantly improve your security posture. Run the command Clawdbot security audit deep in your terminal. This will identify any critical security issues requiring immediate attention. Review the output carefully. If there are no critical issues, you have a baseline level of security, but that's just the beginning. Run the command Clawdbot config set gateway.auth true. This ensures that your gateway, which is the command center of your Maltbot, has proper authentication enabled. This is non-negotiable. Verify your gateway authentication is active by running Clawdbot config get gateway. Check that authentication mode is enabled and properly configured. This prevents unauthorized access to your gateway interface. The next step is locking down file permissions. Run the appropriate chmod commands to modify permissions on sensitive files and directories. This prevents unauthorized reading or modification of configuration files. I'll provide all these commands in the video description for easy reference. These are quick fixes that close the most critical security loopholes. For advanced security, consider installing Tailscale to create an encrypted tunnel between your devices and your server. This adds a significant layer of network security. I highly recommend having a conversation with Claudebot itself about improving the security of your Clawdbot server. Ask it to audit your configuration, identify vulnerabilities, and suggest hardening procedures specific to your setup. Here's my honest assessment after spending 100 hours using Maltbot extensively. The platform is genuinely powerful. You can automate file operations, generate comprehensive reports, conduct research, and control everything from your phone while away from your computer. That capability is legitimately impressive and transformative. However, it's not easy to use at all. Before Maltbot existed, I was already accomplishing most of these tasks. I use Cloud Code, OpenAI Codex, Perplexity, and command line browsers. I know how to wire APIs together. I use MCPs extensively. I've actually built my own personal chief of staff using vibe coding that's faster, more secure, uses fewer tokens, and is precisely tailored to my specific workflow and needs. What Maltbot accomplishes is consolidating all of that functionality into one unified platform, one agent, one gateway, one centralized interface for communicating with your computer. That's the genuine value proposition. Let me share my honest pros and cons assessment. The setup is definitely not easy, especially for beginners. It consumes significant tokens, particularly with complex operations. It's actually slower than some specialized tools I use for specific tasks. The security risks are substantial and require constant vigilance. Because it's new and open source, edge cases and unusual scenarios can be challenging to debug and resolve. However, I'm thoroughly impressed by what Maltbot achieves. It's one comprehensive tool that handles everything. I genuinely appreciate controlling it from my phone anywhere I go. The power multiplies exponentially when you integrate it properly with skills and automation. Because so many developers and users are adopting it, the ecosystem is growing rapidly with new skills and capabilities emerging constantly. This platform is not designed for absolute beginners. The learning curve is steep and the complexity is real. If you're truly hardcore and have the technical skills, you might be better served building your own custom solution tailored specifically to your needs without features you'll never use. If you work in a corporate environment, I strongly advise against using this due to the security risks. The potential for data leakage and unauthorized access is simply too high for sensitive business information. Maltbot is best suited for intermediate users who understand how to prompt AI effectively, know how to configure VPS servers, but aren't quite ready to vibe code their own complete solution. If you want to avoid learning 5 different tools and prefer one centralized platform that handles everything, Maltbot is ideal. I want to conclude with this perspective. I'm continuing to use Maltbot even though I built my own personal chief of staff agent through vibe coding. Why? Because I genuinely believe this represents the future of human-computer interaction. Maltbot will continue improving rapidly. The community is active and engaged. The development pace is impressive. As AI models become more capable and the platform matures, the gap between what's possible now and what will be possible in 6 months is enormous. If you're serious about staying on the cutting edge of AI agent technology and workflow automation, investing time in learning Maltbot properly is worthwhile. The skills you develop configuring, securing, and optimizing this platform will transfer directly to whatever comes next in this rapidly evolving space. The future belongs to those who can effectively delegate to AI agents, clearly communicate their requirements, and build systems that amplify their capabilities rather than simply assist them. Maltbot is one of the first truly practical implementations of that vision, and despite its rough edges, it's pointing towards something genuinely transformative.